This is definitely one of those evenings where you want to be taking notes because there's a lot to cover. Okay. So now that I've shared my screen, you've basically got sort of my screen and then a little bit of me on the side, haven't you? You've got me just sitting there. I won't necessarily be able to see the chat. So if somebody could monitor the chat for me, and also if you could just shout your questions out. This is a very interactive night tonight. It's not me just simply going at it for an hour or so and you guys wondering what the hell I'm talking about. This is very much an opportunity for you to stop me at any stage and butt in and just ask me what the hell I'm doing, okay? It's a topic that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I've been working on for quite some time, almost 20 years, I would say. I would love, and maybe there is somewhere, to show you all the variations of websites that I've had over the years, because certainly my website didn't always look the way this one does now. You can see my screen, can't you?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
This is sort of the latest version. And, you know, websites and the internet has gone through an incredible transformation in terms of how the photographs tend to, and how the websites tend to look. And so it's constantly evolving. It's not something that you're, for me personally, that I'm ever completely satisfied with. I come back and I tinker with it and I leave it alone for a while and then I go hard on it again. And I've probably spent the last 8 to 10 weeks working on this very hard, like daily, like from, you know, dawn to dusk. I tend to do that. When I'm really super passionate about something and really digging my teeth into it, I tend to go very hard and for long periods of time. And so they can be a little bit of a trap, in a sense that just because you build a website, you get it looking fabulous and you're very proud of what you've done, and you should be, doesn't necessarily equate to sales. I'm no expert in this area. I'm still trying to work it out. I've probably sold 20 to 30 artworks online in all those years. So it's a nut that I'm still looking to crack. I'm still trying to find the secret code, and so therefore I'm no expert, but by the same token, I'm trying to pass on as much knowledge that I have in this space about web design.
Were those sales from people you knew, or
no, I'm talking about stuff. Right, so that's a good question, Steph. So what I want to sort of illustrate or to reiterate is a couple of things. I would certainly not encourage you to go and sign up for any particular course or expert in this area, because I'm yet to find one who is good enough to show you how to do this well. If there is somebody, please let me know. Somebody who can say, I've got the secret to success of selling artwork online and here it is. I don't think there is any secret to success. I think it's just a lot of hard work and determination. Okay. So please, if you go and research this and you find a few sort of gurus who claim to be experts at selling artwork online, I think you're going to waste your money, to be honest. I think you would be better coming to me to begin with, and I can help answer your questions. And then secondly, I would certainly recommend this book here. Can you see that? Can you see this book that I'm holding up in the chat there?
How to Sell Your Art.
Yeah. How to Sell Your Art Online by Corey Huff it is. I'll put that in the chat right now. I would certainly go and buy that. It's a great sort of intro, and it's something that I am constantly referring to. Okay. It's not a big book. As you can see, it's quite a small book. It's about $20, $25, but I've got plenty of sort of fluoro highlights through this, and I look back on this quite regularly just to make sure that I'm doing all the things that he suggests in there. So let's dive into it to begin with. I don't think that the trap you'll fall into, the greatest trap you'll fall into with this, as I said before, is building a website and then expecting all of a sudden you get a rush of orders. It's a bit like having an exhibition and expecting to sell all your art. It's a bit like having a retail store and opening the doors and then expecting everyone to rush in and just buy everything off the shelves. It's not like that at all. It is when you're selling art online, in my opinion, it is a matter of building something that is functional, that is easy to order, but then it's something that you have to promote. It's something you have to promote. It's something that you have to not only promote to your family and friends, but it's something that you need to build a collaboration or build a tribe around. Okay, you need to build a community of people that admire your work, and you share with them on a regular basis what you're doing, and you let them into your world. You let them into your world so that they get to see behind the scenes what you're up to, and they feel connected with you. Okay, this is a relationship business. This is about you connecting with the people who admire your work, and therefore hopefully at some stage they become a buyer because they love what you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
One of the best ways that you can help keep in touch with people and build that tribe is two ways. One is obviously social, both Instagram and Facebook, I would recommend. But secondly is to build an email list and to once a month email your email list, your community, to let them know what you're up to, or your latest work, or a special that you might have it's exclusive to your email subscribers, things like that. Okay. Again, this is very high level. I'm just covering the basics at this stage, and I'm more than happy to dive into deeper stuff or explain more if you'd like that information. Okay. So just feel free to butt in at any stage. Now, any questions on that for the minute?
Well, just how to build an email list or how to start building it.
I would certainly, yeah, it's a great question, Steph. I've taken my email list from about 200 just before Christmas last year to almost 5,000 this year. And the number one way that we have done that is by giving away a print each month using Facebook ads. So we had somebody build those Facebook ads for us, which is not something that you can just easily do. You just don't, boost an ad or boost a post and hope that you get those returns. It's a very not scientific, but it does require an expert to do that. And it's
expensive.
Sorry?
Expensive is the word you're looking for.
Well, it cost me about $1,000 to hire somebody to do that for me. I have somebody that I can put you in touch with for that if you're willing to spend that money. He will build the audience for you and the ads, and nurse you through that over a period of 3 months, and then he can continue to look after those ads for you and run those ads for you and monitor those for you, or you can just take it on yourself and you can do it all yourself, which I'm quite tech savvy, so I was happy enough to do that. But the initial way to build an email list, of course, is to just contact your friends and family and ask them to share as much as possible, either through their socials or through forwarding that email onto anybody else who they feel might be interested in your work. But as I said, the most successful way that I've felt that I could do that in terms of building an email list was to give away a print. Have you seen those ads on Facebook that I do? You may or may not have seen them. Has anyone seen those? You have? Oh, right. Okay, great. So you've seen that I'm usually standing there holding an unframed print. It's a rolled print. It costs me $30 from Brilliant Prints to get it printed. It is about a meter wide by about 66 centimeters high. It does retail on our website for about $697. And genuinely, if somebody was wanting to purchase that, they would need to go onto the website and buy that, and that's how much it would cost. Now, remind me, by the way, to go over pricing for you, because a lot of people get stuck with pricing and they're like, I don't know, what should I charge? I've got a very basic formula for you that you must stick to. You must stick to this formula, otherwise you will not make money. And I'm not talking about making, tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm just talking about making it viable and making it worth your while. Okay. There's a whole story and a whole session that we could go over the psychology of selling. And what I mean by that is that the common issue that artists tend to fall into when they're selling their work is totally underselling their work. And if I could see you all right now, I'm sure there'd be a few heads bobbing up and down saying, yep, I know what you mean. What we tend to do as artists is undersell ourselves. We're afraid, we're creatives, we're afraid of asking for the price that in fact our art is worth. We sort of want to shy away from that and think to ourselves, well, you know, like, oh, I can't possibly ask that much for that, for my art, or I can't afford that. So how would somebody else be able to afford that? Or I wouldn't spend $2,000 on an artwork. So why would somebody else spend $2,000 on my artwork? So I won't charge that much, even though Tom said that this pricing formula is the one I should use. There's so many things that crop up for artists that tend to mean that they tend to underprice themselves. And we all know about the starving artists, and there's far too many of them in the world, and you don't need to be one of them as well. Any questions on that? That was that was what I call a side rant. I might come back to that as a full-on rant in a minute.
We're just waiting for the formula.
I can give you the formula. Yeah.
Tom, when you're talking about the print, you're talking about just the print and not the cost of framing and all, yeah?
And I'm going to talk about all of that in a minute. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have, let's dive into this for a second, and we are going off on a bit of a tangent, but we're right there, so we may as well talk about it. Okay. So let's just dive into one of my categories here, and let's just dive into one of my prints here. Let's just say, wow, I really like that photo. And you'll see that it actually, the way this website is built up, and I can certainly show you how to build a website if we get onto that tonight, or it can be another session. Absolutely. Depends how much time we've got tonight and how many questions and what sort of, you know, where we go with the conversation. And this is a very fluid conversation, and we will cover a lot, I'm sure. And I'm hopeful that all of it will be valuable to you. So if we don't get into exactly what you, if you don't get in, sorry, somebody's just not on mute there if you're chatting away there.
Sorry.
If you're, if we don't get on to the sort of reason why you came tonight, I'm sure that we can get onto it in subsequent chats on this topic, okay, depending on how late we want to go tonight. But
Yours is Shopify.
it is a Shopify website, which is probably one of the most common e-commerce websites. Whether it's the best for photography or not, or selling art, I'm not entirely convinced, but it's something I've poured an incredible amount of time into. And therefore I'm you know, sort of, I have very much a sort of no turning back type of deal here, where there's many thousands of hours that have gone into this website. And that's not to say that you have to, no way. It's just, we've got huge volumes of photos here on this website. It's quite, it's got a lot of depth to the website, and therefore it takes a lot of time. Your website should not take nearly that amount of time. You'll learn from the mistakes that I've made, and you'll sort of be able to hit the ground running a lot quicker than what I have over the years. Okay. So just getting back to pricing, guys. As you know, as you may or may not know, I use predominantly Brilliant Prints up in Brisbane, brilliantprints.com.au, in order to order most of my artwork. Okay. And they do framed prints, unframed prints, they do canvas prints, acrylic prints, etc., etc. So the majority of what I get done comes from Brilliant Prints up in Brisbane. Okay. Now, when I click onto this photograph here, it defaults to a price here, which is just the sort of smaller size we have as a rolled print, and it has no frame. So there's three options here. 1, choose your size. 2, choose your print or your finish. And 3, choose the frame color. Okay. So it sort of steps people through what they need to do in order to then eventually add it to the cart. And again, you know, this is sort of a default that you can set up Shopify with, but prior to 4 weeks ago, we never had the 1, 2, 3 there. So, you know, people were going, oh, I'm clicking on this and I'm clicking on that, but it's not working. Well, because they hadn't chosen their frame color down here, for example. And we didn't have it default to no frame when you had it on a rolled print, you know? So people were like, you know, on a canvas print, and it said no frame here, and it said not available up here. There were all sorts of things that we needed to fix, and that's taken a bit of time. So getting back to the pricing thing here, we tend to price, and look, pricing is one of those things that pricing varies depending on obviously the cost It also varies depending on whether or not you're going to include shipping, i.e. postage. It also depends on how established you are as an artist. Okay. So there's many different variables that come into this. At the end of the day, as you can imagine, I feel I'm a bit more of an established artist with a name, so to speak. So therefore, my prices tend to be a little higher. I've actually benchmarked my prices alongside of a few other people who I know run photography galleries here in Australia as bricks and mortar galleries. And therefore, I've created a whole spreadsheet of their offerings, their prints and sizes, and then sort of not only average, but also looked at what they're charging high and low and being comfortable with me picking the price that is also based on what it costs me, but also what I feel like I'm worth. Okay. So that's the variables that have come into play when choosing this. Now, as a general rule of thumb, you should probably charge at least ×3 whatever the cost of the artwork is for you. Okay. In order to make it worthwhile for you. Okay. So if it's going to cost you $100 in order to get something produced, you want to be charging $300 in order for it to be worthwhile for you. Okay. I would suggest. Okay. That's, we actually go with about a ×4. Okay. But you could certainly start with a ×3. Okay. So we offer a couple of different sizes, sometimes 3 or 4 sizes, other times just a couple of sizes here. We recently took out our smallest size here. We had a 60 by 40 centimeter here. Now, some people say, should I be offering centimeters or inches? Or I believe centimeters. Photographers and print labs and framers tend to work in inches, but they're about the only ones who do. Most of the general public knows centimeters better than they do inches. So that's why I offer things in centimeters. Another thing that I would certainly shy away from is, and my 20 years of sort of selling art, both online and offline, is that you generally don't offer more than 3 options in a size, for example. Okay, 3 options in general for any sort of variable. Now, I've gone against the grain here because we actually have a few different options. In terms of frame color, for example, we only have 3. We have black, white, or raw oak. We don't, and I've been on websites. I'm going to show you a couple of websites tonight, for example, that I benchmark against. And when I say benchmark against, I'm talking about people who I know are selling art here in Australia, okay, and overseas, and guys who have very good looking websites, as in I've looked at it and gone, yeah, that's actually damn good. Okay. So they've changed their front end again. It's interesting. I've spent a lot of time on these websites just looking at how it all works, functionality, pricing, admiring their artwork, etc. And it's interesting to come back into these after a few weeks even and seeing how they change things up. And I'm sure we're all looking at each other's websites actually, and they've changed this again. It's interesting. I'm sure we're all just stealing ideas off each other, which is totally fine. That's what business is all about in a lot of ways. You're taking the best of what everybody else is doing sometimes. This is salty. Go on.
Wouldn't that have a beneficial effect? Because if you're all doing that, it means that everyone's on a par. So
yeah, I agree. I know what you're saying, Steph. It means that it's like, I like to think it as, us aerial photographers here in Australia, say the likes of Tony Hewitt, Scott McCook, who we've had on this show before, Paul Holland, who we've had on this show before, Mika Boynton even, there's names out there here in Australia who are very good aerial photographers, and we all tend to sort of keep a pretty close eye on what each other's doing. And a mutual admiration, I would like to think, for what everybody produces, and it raises the bar. For me, if I see those guys doing good work, I'm like, right, I've got to step things up here. When I go out and shoot next, I've got to make sure I'm going to try a bit of that. I'm going to do what they're doing, perhaps a little. I'm going to incorporate a little bit of that into my style, but I know I've got to really set the bar high because they've set the standard or they've lifted the bar higher and therefore I've got to go higher again. So yes, Steph, I certainly see what you're meaning. If these guys, and I'm not sure if they are or not, but if they're gleaning over other people's websites and they're going, oh, wow, that Tom Putt's got some nice work, or he's got a pretty sexy looking website, or anywhere else, I tend to look at trends all over the internet, and I go on to not just artists' websites. In fact, often they're not doing it well. I go on to, big art websites that are not artists as such. They're just people selling art, and look at their ideas, and then other companies who aren't related to art, and go, right, okay, what are they offering? Right, okay, there's a nice pop-up, or okay, that's an interesting way to collect emails. That's okay, and layout and design and everything else. So I'm stealing ideas from them, or incorporating ideas from them as well. Saltywings.com.au. These are two guys out of Perth, predominantly drone footage. They're doing a little bit more sort of stuff out of planes and helicopters these days. Very comprehensive in terms of their website and where they've been and what they've done, et cetera, and a very clean looking website. Okay, very clean. You kind of know where you need to go with this website, and it's very easy to sort of find stuff and to be able to order things. I've certainly spent a bit of time on this website, and I think these guys do it extremely well.
Is this also a Shopify?
This is also a Shopify website. So there's one way that I do find that out. This is very geeky, but if you go in, I'm in Chrome, for example, and I can go view developer, view source, and this actually gives me all of the code. And then I can go into find, and I just have to type in Shopify here, as in find the word Shopify in the code. And I can see that the word Shopify comes up here, 562 times just on the homepage. And so I go, all right, that's a Shopify website. And even sometimes I look at the theme and decide whether or not that's a theme that I want to incorporate into mine. Because you can, when you set up a Shopify website, you can pay or you can download free themes. And but what that basically is just like a template. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You
yes,
can
this
always
is
tell just going down the bottom of the website as well. And
yes, it's go on.
yeah, so sometimes it has it there. Sometimes
It does.
you recognize the templates.
You can, yeah, absolutely too. Although WordPress, which is what Aquabumps, my friend Eugene Tan up at Bondi, his is built on WordPress. Often you can build a WordPress website to look very similar. I mean, what we're looking at here and on other websites is pretty much a sort of standard sort of Web 2.0, which is sort of the sort of era we're in. This is very much the sort of style of what websites tend to follow these days. There's a formula, and whether it stays this way or not, I'm sure it won't. It'll change again, and people will go, oh, that was so 2021, that's pretty daggy. What we all do now is something different again. And as I said to you, my website's undergone many sort of reiterations where I've offered this and offered that and changed it around, and just like Salty Wings, I go in and change mine quite regularly in order to just fine tune it just a little bit more. And a lot of that stuff you probably wouldn't even see or recognize because it's hidden elsewhere in other pages, or it's in the back end, so you don't see it at all. But I'll explain, as much as I can tonight about what I've done. What tends to happen with any sort of website is that you tend to have a logo in the top left-hand corner. You tend to have a cart in the top right-hand corner, and then the menu options across the top. Okay. And again, we've worked pretty hard on this menu option. A few years ago, my mate David Evans, who runs the international, Pano Awards, the Epson Pano Awards, and Landscape Photographer of the Year, et cetera, he rang me and he said, "What's your address?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Your address there at the gallery." And I said, "It's on my website." And he goes, "I've spent 10 minutes on your website looking for your address and I can't find it." And I said, "No, it's there. Don't be ridiculous." And he goes, "All right, tell me, show me." I was like, literally, you had to, I think, go into the Contact Us page. And no, I don't think it was even on the Contact Us page. It was like, it was on some obscure page if it was there at all. So it was like, righty, oh shit, that's got to change. Plaster it everywhere. It's here. It's here. You click on that, and it hyperlinks through to a map. There's the map there, for example. It's down in here. Contact us. Here's the address. Here's the gallery location. Here's how to call us. Here's how to call us here. et cetera, et cetera. So it certainly doesn't, it helps to actually have me or somebody else who you know is quite web savvy, once you've built your website, to just go over it and just do the basics. In fact, I recently paid somebody on Fiverr to do the same thing. A guy over in Spain, for goodness sake, he was on Fiverr and he said, I'll review your website for you. And I went, great, review my website, because I wanted somebody who'd never heard of me before to go onto our website and just go, all right, what's this guy about? Do I know what he does? How easy is it to order? Where's this? Has this guy got a gallery? Oh yeah, he has. Okay, et cetera, et cetera. And so it does, when you spend a lot of time on these things, sometimes you can't see the wood from the trees, through the trees, and you do need a fresh set of eyes on it in order for you to just make sure you've ticked the boxes, you know, and I'll provide you in the show notes, which I'll put onto Facebook, onto that Facebook group. I will put in just, you know, the basics you need to have. Okay. Just a checklist, so that if you're doing this yourself or you're getting somebody else to do this for you, you know, just please make sure you have X, Y, and Z. So for example, let's go through that now. You definitely want a home button, because people need to go back to the home page. So you want a home button. You'll have some sort of thing like a gallery, you know, one of these will be called a gallery, for example. And so at the start, when you establish your website and you're wanting to sell your artwork online, or even just show it off to people, you'll have a gallery page where people can click on that and they can see, you know, the photos that you have available. And if you have a lot of photos on your website, you might break it up into various categories like I've done here. Okay. And what I've tried to do with this website, because we have 2,200 photographs online, and seriously, I could put double that on. There's a lot there, and I want people to be easily find what they come looking for. So some people will come just to browse and won't necessarily know what they want, but other people might come in and go, well, I definitely want a picture from, you know, Fraser Island. Okay, well, locations, Queensland, Fraser Island. We hope that it would be easy enough for them to find that. Okay, they might just be saying, well, I don't know what I want, but oh, look, themes here. Oh, look, we've got some panoramic photos. Yeah, I need a panoramic photo to go over my couch, or to go over my bed head in my bedroom. Or I really love black and white photography, so that's how I find it. Or some autumn colors, because I've got you know, some warm tones in the house and I want to match that. You know, things like that. So I've tried to actually have it so these are the same photos, but there's many different ways to find them. So for example, most of the autumn photographs, you'll also find in probably orange or red as a color. But then if you go into locations and go into Victoria Bright, that's the majority of where my autumn photos are found. So you'll find that the same photos appear in different categories, and that's fine too. Obviously, we broke up the Mornington Peninsula. Again, a lot of our market is Mornington Peninsula, people who have moved down here or who have renovated, and they are looking for something local. So we took that out of locations altogether and just made a separate menu, so that people are like, right, Tom Putt, okay, what's this? Oh, Mornington Peninsula, great. Oh, well, I live at Point Leo, great. What's he got there? Okay, I'll click on that, and oh, right. Oh, yeah, wow, we're after a beautiful shot of the boat ramp there at Point Leo, great. Click on that. And then, oh, right, okay, yep, got something for sale. Oh, free shipping, all the rest of it. Oh, I'll come back up here. Oh, right, okay, what's he got here? Let me see. Yeah, okay, so you can buy this, that, whatever. Okay, lots of things that we can go into there, and I will establish that in a second. Buying a book. This is something that Mary got me to put up very recently, because she just said, I've been on your website and I can't find bloody hell how to order your book. Why isn't it right at the top here like this, you know, in one of these menu items? And I went, yeah, no, fair enough. Okay, let's do that. So we did that. Again, I needed a fresh set of eyes to look at it in order to be able to say, you know, this is the thing, you know, like you're best to give your website to a few people who perhaps aren't very good at navigating through the internet, and sit with them and say, can you have a look at my website for me? I'm just going to look over your shoulder, but you don't have to look for anything in particular, but I just want to see how you go through it all. And then if they get stuck, you're like, well, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for, I know you've got a book for sale, but I can't find that. Where is it? You know, like, how do I order your book? And then you go, oh no, well, you go into info and you go into this section here and you go into there, and then you turn the computer upside down and you should be able to find it. You know, these are the sorts of things, these menu items across the top is basically sort of like your sales pages. Okay. And these are where, you establish before you even start creating a website is, what do I want people to find on my website? What are the key things they need to find? They need to find the homepage. So you always have a homepage link here. They need to find, locations or a gallery or something. I'm selling art, so they need to say gallery, or it needs to say art for sale, or one of those things. They need to also find a sort of info or about page. Often this info page is called an about page. Mine is not, because I've got so much information to give to people and finding a spot to put in about here is difficult. So you definitely need to have an about section, because about should, and there should be more photos of me in here. In fact, this banner here should be a photo of me. It annoys me to no end when I go onto people's websites and I'm like, oh, right, so who is this person? Oh, wow, great photos. Oh, so let me find out a little bit more about this person. Like, I want to see what they look like, or find a bit of backstory, things like that. And you don't see anything other than some words on a page and not even a name. Sometimes you'll go on and this won't be the name of the artist. It might be some generic name, Sunset Images. Let's just make something up. It might be called Sunset Images. And then you're like, all right, Sunset Images, these are some beautiful photos. Who is this guy, or who is this girl? And you go into about, and like, it's a whole, I love creating my art, and it's a whole beautiful story. No name, no photo of them, no way of contacting them. Photographers and artists love to do that. They love to talk about themselves, but then they love to have no way of contacting you. No way of contacting. They won't put their phone number here for love or money. They might on their contact page have fill in your name and type in your subject and put a message, and I'll get back to you in about 12 months' time.
Why is that, Tom? Why is that?
I think they're afraid that they might actually make a sale. They might actually have somebody call them and say, I want to buy one of your photos. And then they would shit their pants, because I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? How do I take the order? How do I order it? Hadn't thought that far ahead. How do I get it to the customer?
Okay. Or is it for privacy reasons they won't put their
What's that? Sorry?
Or is it for privacy reasons they won't put their number? And
That's stupid. That's ridiculous. This is not my private phone number. This is my business phone number. Get another mobile phone, pay $15 a month in order to have a different number, and have a business number.
Okay.
A mobile phone a second mobile phone. We've all got a spare mobile phone sitting in our drawer somewhere that we don't want to use anymore. Or go down to the Telstra shop and buy a $50 phone and put a different SIM number in it with a different number. But it's ludicrous that people couldn't call you and say, hey, Swati, I love that photo on your website. Look, I'm just on your website and I just have a question regarding a size, because that size that you're offering there, we need something in between that. So is that something you can do for me? Pete, sometimes people actually do want to pick up the phone and talk to the artist. And how exciting is that for people?
Yeah.
How exciting is that for people to go, oh, wow, let me see. I'll call them. I'm sure it won't be Tom. Yeah. Oh, g'day, good evening, Tom Putt Gallery. This is Tom speaking. They love it. They love speaking to the artist. People love buying from artists. And so you'd be silly not to be able to make yourself available for that. I would say, without a doubt, that people would be more interested in buying from me in my own gallery than buying from a salesperson, because they get the backstory, but it's also a buzz to buy from the artist. Oh, we got to meet the artist. He signed it on the back for us. He signed the book for me. I sign every single book that goes out of the door these days. And the first time we published a book, I got a few people to ask me to sign their book, and I was totally embarrassed. I was like, really? Like, why would you want me to sign the book? Every time now, somebody comes into the gallery, oh, I just wanted to, after one of your books, please. Yeah, sure. Is that a gift for somebody? Actually, yeah, it is. It's their birthday this Friday. Great. What's their name? Oh, it's Simon. Oh, okay. Do you mind if I just personalize the book and sign it for you? And they go, oh my God, would you? Like, they can't believe it. So people do love buying from the artists. And I think it's ludicrous that you don't have your contact details there. You've got to have a face. You've got to have, you know, who you are. You're best to, you know, if it's a photo of you with a camera, or if it's a photo of you standing there holding an artwork, that's even better. Remember, we're in the business of selling art. You know, like if you're serious about this, you want to be seen as somebody who's selling art, not a photographer who just happens to want to sell a few photos. It's up to you. I don't mind how you position yourself, but we're transitioning very much from that being a Tom Putt, you know, who takes some nice, pretty landscape photos. Oh yeah, he's that photographer who takes those aerials or whatever, into, oh, he's that guy who sells that really nice morning to Peninsula art, or he's that guy who sells all that beautiful aerial artwork, etc. So you'll actually see, has anyone been onto my Instagram lately? No? Thanks, everybody. Wow, jeez. This is my Instagram page. I just totally wiped everything off it. There wasn't anything other than basically a photograph on a wall. I just deleted everything out of it just this week, because I went, I'm in the business of selling art. I'm not in the business of taking pretty pictures and putting them up on Instagram so people can go, oh, that's a really nice photo, Tom. No. I've invested too much time and effort into this in order to be seen as such. So therefore, this is all you'll see on my Instagram from now on. You know,
it's lucky that we saw the old Insta then.
I'm sorry.
It's lucky we saw the old Insta.
Well, no, this is the 2.0, Steph. This is the better version thereof. You know, what we will probably end up doing is, I think there's a few posts in here like this, where you get the photo on the wall, and then if you want to see the photo, you just swipe across. You know what I mean? So you get to see the full picture anyway, but at the end of the day, the first photo is going to be the art on the wall type thing. Any questions?
Flows well.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I think, you know, and again, I know I'm going on a side rant here, but it's a bit like, you know, I'm in the business of selling art. And therefore, you know, if you go on to other businesses that aren't necessarily photographers or artists, these guys, wall art prints, these guys are pretty big on the internet. They come up on my Facebook all the time. These guys, look at the way that they display it. It's pretty much, you know, art on the walls type thing as well. You know what I mean? A few, you know, photos here and there. Look, somebody's home where they've taken a photograph, things like that. That's what, it's very clear when you go onto that website or their Instagram and or their Facebook, that this is what they do. They sell art for your walls. This is another one that I've found recently called Urban Road, who sell thousands of artworks every year. Look at their Insta page, full of photographs of rooms with art on the walls. Okay, that's just a little point I wanted to make regarding photography and selling art, etc. I would love that if you're in the business of selling art, get any of your photographs, even that you've got on your walls at home, and get somebody just to take a photograph of you holding it, because that just legitimizes what you do. Oh, this is Steph and she sells her photography, clearly, because that's her standing there holding one of her artworks. Okay, so
Tom, can I just ask about the printing? With
yes.
starting a website, should you offer just a print, or should you give them the option of buying it framed or canvas or whatever? Because a lot of people just
good question. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to get onto that.
He got excited at the question and ran away, Julie.
He did.
He's gone to find the answer.
I found it. I love selling unframed prints, as in rolled prints. And it's interesting. Yeah. Like, for example, we called them, we recently changed the wording on the website to say rolled prints rather than unframed prints, because we felt that unframed prints versus framed prints meant that perhaps the unframed print was mounted, as in it had a mat on it. People might expect that was an unframed print. You know, a framed print obviously has a frame around it, but maybe an unframed print is without the frame. Therefore, it's got a mat on it. And we didn't want people to think that we don't supply matted prints. We only supply rolled prints. So we just thought, well, a rolled print is obvious that it's rolled. Okay. And even if you click on our finish guide, you can scroll down here and it actually shows you, look, rolled prints. That's what it looks like in a roll. Okay. So that I'm just trying to teach you what I've learned even more recently. We love selling rolled prints because the margin on them is extremely good. For example, as I've shown you already, and I, you know, please don't, you know, make this, you know, sort of general public and go and telling everybody. I'm telling you in good confidence, but
Yeah.
we pay $30 for that print that's offered at that price. You know,
Yeah.
so the margin is extremely good for us. However, we don't sell a lot of them because there is quite a margin on that. And maybe some people look at that and go, oh, it's only a meter and why is it so expensive? But that's just who we are. The other thing is too, we have no influence over how that photograph is then displayed on somebody's wall. So what do I mean by that? Perhaps they take it to a dodgy framer down the
You
road.
want it to look crappy. Yeah.
Who does a crappy job, who they choose the wrong frame, or the matting's not cut properly, or they choose a horrible mat to go on it, et cetera, et cetera. We have no say in how that rolled print is going to look on their wall. Now, why is that an issue? What somebody, I'm sure I can hear some people perhaps saying, well, why should you care? You know, like at the end of the day, you've made a sale, haven't you? Well, yes.
It's a reputation.
Your reputation. And therefore, you know, look, Mary and I have been selling art for many years. I first started selling art back in 2003. And this was when I started my photography gallery, taking photographs of kids, families, dogs, you know, all the rest of it. And we've always sold art face-to-face to our clientele in that regard. And we've always had to work through that process. And we enjoyed this process more than anything else of like, where's your art going? How big does it need to be? We'll help you with the sizing, etc. Great. Let's make sure we choose the right frame that suits your interior design, etc., etc. So that when it goes on the wall, and in fact, you know what I do now. I've got my van. Anyone who orders here in Melbourne or the Mornington Peninsula gets it personally delivered, and I hang it for them on their wall. And why do we do that? A, because we want to be legends and we want to offer great customer service. But B, if we offer them a rolled print, what do you think might happen with that?
Most people, I think, that buy a rolled print will not
In the
frame.
cupboard. Yeah.
Some people, I think, will go to IKEA. But when you're talking about framing, in another life, I was a picture framer. And
Right. Oh, right. Good.
It was interesting when people bought something in and said, you know, so what do you suggest?
Yes.
It doesn't matter what I suggest and what I ask. They choose because they have the right to choose. And you know, there's a reason why you frame it and why you mat it, and there's a reason in the colors that you choose and what's in the picture and all of that stuff. Yeah. But they don't know that.
They don't understand that. They don't know that.
And so the idea of a frame is to make the image stand out. And a lot of these people, it doesn't matter what the image is, they've picked something that people, I'm sure, walk into their homes and go, oh my God, look at that thing on the wall. And they don't even know what the image is because the frame and the mat has just overpowered the image.
Correct. Yep, quite right. And so there's a couple of issues you brought up there, Steph. One is, you know, you want, if you sell it framed or however, as we call it, a finished product, and everything, you know, a finished product for us is a frame print, a canvas frame print, a metal frame print, or an acrylic frameless print. If we sell that, we know what it looks like when we deliver it to somebody's home. And we know when we put it up on the wall that it's the right size because we've already talked with them about it. We've chosen the right finish, we've chosen the right frame color, and it looks bloody fantastic. And it's advertising us as soon as it goes on that wall. So that when somebody comes over and goes, oh, wow, God, I love that. Where'd you get that from? Who took that? Where is that and who took it? That's the first two questions that generally people will ask about art. Oh God, where is that? And who took that? That's gorgeous. And I want them to go, oh, you want to go and see that guy down the road, you know, Tom, he's got that art gallery, you know, down there. Oh yeah, I've walked past it. I've seen his van driving around. A referral, okay? That's what you want out of the clientele because of that. And so what you don't want is for that artwork on the wall to not be the right size or not be the right framing, etc. The frame should complement the artwork. As you've seen here, we just offer 3 simple types of colored frames. All of our artwork comes with a digital mat, and I've shown you how to do this before, where that's just white paper around the edge. It's not a mat itself, because matting is quite a sort of old-fashioned way of framing artwork these days. So that's just the white paper around the edge of the photograph. And then we have it set back, just like you can kind of see here in the photographs as well. So it's got that setback at 20 mil. It is deep setback. So the print actually sits 20 mil behind the glass itself. Again, that's just something that's very contemporary and looks good at the moment. Whether it stays in vogue or not, who knows? But it's just a simple complementary style of framing that we think works well for our art. It's not for everybody, but we think it looks good, and it shouldn't steal away from the artwork. It should just complement the artwork, as Steph is suggesting there. Any questions on that for the minute? I noticed that Anne then did ask, well, why do I offer a rolled print? Well, I offer a rolled print because somebody might have a relationship with their framer anyway, and or we're wanting to ship it overseas, which is far more easy to do it as a rolled print rather than doing it as a finished product, which is quite expensive. You know, $500–600 minimum to be able to ship any of these finished artworks overseas. We don't sell a lot of artwork overseas anyway, so it's okay. Question, sorry?
So what if you weren't, say if someone purchases something from us, we obviously can't go and install it. So we just order it through the printer and then go and pick it up and deliver it, or?
Okay, I've got something better still, Julie.
Okay.
If people don't, if we're selling more and more art outside of the Mornington Peninsula now with various things that we're doing, and we have the art sent directly from the framers to the client.
Yeah.
So Brilliant Prints, for example, do this for us all the time. They'll send a rolled print, or they'll send a frame print or anything else directly from their factory to the client. Now,
you don't get to see the finished product though, do you?
There's a risk with that, as I said. Yep, as I was about to say, we don't get to see the finished product, but we've been dealing with that company for many years now. If there's a problem, the client would, and by the way, this has not happened yet. And remember, people tend to focus on what could go wrong as opposed to the 90 or 80% that does go right. You know, if you're using the 80-20 principle, which is found in many facets of life, 80% of the orders will turn up and they'll look amazing, and 20% may well have something slightly wrong with them that you would hope the client will ring and go, you know what, this print's just arrived and it just doesn't look right. Oh yeah, what's wrong? They talk you through it. Great, send me some photos if you don't mind. Look, I'm terribly sorry. We'll get that fixed for you straight away. But if in the meantime you could just take a photo of that and send it to me, I'd just like to be able to tell the framer and give them that feedback, and obviously let them know that there's something wrong. And they'll go, yeah, no dramas. And what you do is you just ring Brilliant Prints and you go, guys, there was something wrong. And they go, yep, no problems. We'll resend that for you. No additional cost.
Yep.
Tom, one question. So you have like around, say, 2,000 images on your website.
Yes.
So do you get print proofs from Brilliant Prints for every image?
Oh God, no. So again, we've ordered a lot through them before. We know that when we prepare the file for print at our end, that it comes out looking pretty much 99% of what we see is what they end up printing and how it looks for us when we receive it or when our client receives it. So we don't have any sort of color management issues as such.
Okay.
Yep.
But
So
do you have a printer yourself to check?
No, God, no, we don't print. So there's a reason why we don't do that. A couple of reasons why. One is a lot of the work that we do is custom work. It's like, you know, it's big prints.
Yes.
It's not something we could run a printer out the back.
Yeah.
But we would need to be running that printer almost every day. And the reason is that if you don't run your printers regularly, the printer heads get clogged up with dry ink because they've not got that ink flowing through them. It's a bit like, I guess, if your car, you know, if you don't drive your car after a while, you jump in it and, you know, the battery's gone dead.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the oil's, you know, gone bad or whatever else, you know, like, and I'm talking, you know, you might leave your car for 12 months. Printers, unfortunately, aren't that forgiving. You can't leave them for 12 months and then go, oh, I've got a print for an order for a print. I should run a print through it. It's not going to look any good. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So it's not cost effective for us to have a printer at this stage. I wish it was. I'd bloody love it. But again, remember, if I had a printer and was printing this myself, that's then my time spent printing, where I probably need to be in the gallery selling, or I need to then, if it's, you know, a lot of printing, I need to hire somebody to just do the printing, which is an extra wage. So it's a lot easier at this stage for me to outsource it to experts who can do that job for me. And we use various different suppliers depending on what we're ordering. So even though, you know, we've got our offerings here and pretty much we can get all of those from Brilliant Prints, I don't always get them all from Brilliant Prints. It depends on the sizes that I'm offering, and it's not relevant to you. But you could, coming back to Julie's question, offer, you know, framed prints or canvas prints or metal prints or acrylic prints, whatever you like. You could offer all, or you could offer 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these, and you could get them all ordered through Brilliant Prints. And if the customer wasn't close enough for you to hand deliver it, which I would absolutely love for you to do, you could just get them to send it directly to the client, and you ring them a week later and you go, oh my God, did that print arrive? And they go, yes, it did. It looks amazing. Thank you, Swati. Oh my God, we just absolutely love it. Oh, fantastic. Could you please take a photo of it on your wall and show it to me? I'd love to see how it looks.
Right.
Easy, easy.
Yeah.
You want to make it as easy as possible. If it gets complicated, you just won't be bothered doing it. You'll just go, oh, it's too hard.
Yeah. But do they expect you to sign the print?
You can digitally sign it. So most of my work is digitally signed. So I have my signature that I scanned into the computer.
Okay.
Again, very easy to do. And I put a little title down the bottom here, and I put a signature on it here. Again, guys, just remind me, there's a video on the Tom's Tribe that shows you that, doesn't it? I've shown you guys several times now.
Yeah, we've been through it. Yeah.
Swati, I'll tag you in that video that's in Tom's Tribe that shows you how to do that. Okay, the signature and the and putting the text on the bottom of the print.
Was that in the tribe? Was that in the tribe or the other one?
It's in Tom's Tribe.
Oh,
It's
hello,
on
Ainsley.
as a
Sorry.
Tuesday's tip or something like that. Let me quickly find it
Put
now.
the
Oh,
link
yeah.
at the Facebook
Was that
page.
asking the question? Was that you, Ainsley?
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, Tom, because you're
Right.
not sending them as framed
Yeah.
or anything else.
Well, we rarely
And
do, but go
yeah,
on.
no. And you sell rolled prints
Yep.
and you sign it and put a title on it.
Yes.
And now they hang it in a shit manner or whatever else. Does that, don't you run the risk then of damaging your own reputation by having your name on that
And we talked
particular
about,
artwork?
we
Is
talked
that a
about
50-50 call?
Yeah, it is, David. Yeah, we talked about that already. So at the end of the day, preparing your photos for print, I'm sure this is in here.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay, this one here. I'm going to tag you in this, Swati. Anyone else want to be tagged in this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Tag me again.
Yeah,
Who's that? Who's the, was that you, Steph?
Julie.
Julie?
Hey,
That's it.
please, Jenny.
Again, what I can do is I can record, I can even save that and put that into the portal as well. So it's there as a reference. I might even create a separate tab that just has references, a reference tab, and that could be like videos like this that you probably need to refer to, you know, on multiple occasions in order to, you know, you'll forget that. You might get an order for a print, and then you might decide to print something for yourself, and then 6 months later you go, oh, I've forgotten how to do that. How do I do it again? Go back to that reference tab in the portal, and you'll be able to go over that video again. Yes, David. Yes, you do. And look, again, we're focusing on the 20%, you know, that may order something as a rolled print, because we don't often get those orders. So
Tom,
yes, you do
Tom, I
run the
haven't
risk.
checked-
You do run the risk that it would not.
I haven't checked
framed.
everything, but do you have it like a disclaimer or something in case the colour's not exactly as it was on your website or whatever?
Again,
or
we don't have anybody who's come back to us and said, you know, we ordered it and it doesn't look anything like it looks on your website.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of an old school, like, you know, people were really worried that the colors on the website aren't going to match the print, and therefore people are going to get upset because it doesn't look the same. I know it used to be on a lot of people's websites, and they'd have a disclaimer and they'd say, you know, please understand that what you see on our website here won't necessarily be what you see in the artwork because it's a different process or whatever else you want to say. Never had anyone say that to me.
I thought that was more for the fact that you obviously the customer just might have had a crap monitor or something, or an old monitor.
Oh yeah. And look, these days, you're quite right, Steph. You know, in the olden days, let's go back 20 years, you know, Apple wasn't as big as it was. And now these days, I don't know, 50% of people probably are running on an Apple and they look fantastic, you know, across the board. When you pull an Apple out of the box and you fire it up and you start looking at the internet and photos, etc., they look fantastic. So yeah, we have had certainly an increase in quality of the machines that people are looking at these photos on. That's for sure.
And it was that particular reason that prompted my question about how do we, I guess it's color, how do we know that the image that we see on my Apple
Yes.
And I've got the down to half brightness, but there's color, whatever the term is, when
Color
you
management,
on the monitor.
Yeah.
But also, Brilliant Prints might have a.
They do. They do. They have a color profile that you can
Yeah, that's
install,
correct.
but they all can also do a test print for you as well. So you can install the color profile onto your computer so that the color on your computer matches what they print at. But then you can also then say to them, right, okay, I've got this print. Can you print it out for me? You have it sitting on your computer screen here. You get this print from Brilliant Prints. You know, they've posted it to you after they've printed out, and you hold them side by side and you go, yeah, that looks pretty damn good. So I'm confident now that whatever I print from my computer is going to look the same as what they've sent me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. It's pretty straightforward. It's not you know the tricky situations that we used to have in the past. That's for sure. Again, I've never color profiled my computers for Brilliant Prints, and I'm very happy with what comes back.
You have color profiled, or you
Never.
haven't?
Never.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
I did years ago and I've forgotten that I did it, but
Okay.
no, I'm using Macs, and I just find that for whatever reason, they just tend to show things very well indeed, and it matches what I tend to get back from them. So that's great.
Mm.
Tom, the couple I had printed just recently, I've got the Mac and I've got it down to 50% and whatever.
The brightness, yeah.
Yeah, but when I had them printed out, they were dark. So I had to go into Photoshop and lighten the
Yes.
brightness by 30%
Yes.
for it to look like it did on my screen. So that's not going to, how do you come across, like, how do you fix that? Is that
Who
just
did-
a thing between you and the printer?
Yeah. So who was that? You were printing with them, Brilliant Prints?
Fine art photo.
Yeah. So that's where you'd ring them and have a chat with them about it and say, how is
Yeah.
it mine are looking so much darker than what I'm seeing on the screen here, you know, and they'll have a reason why, and they should talk you through that. Yeah.
Yeah, because he just said he played around Photoshop with it. And he said, just got to brighten each one by 30%. The brightness.
It's a pain. What you should have is that when you turn your screen brightness down to about half or just below half in a semi-darkened, if not dark room,
Yeah.
that the brightness you see on your screen is the same brightness of what the print comes out as. You don't want to be second guessing. No, that's a pain. That's like, you have no idea. You're like, is this bright enough, or it looks too bright on my screen? I just don't feel comfortable reordering that. But then I know it's going to come out darker when I get it back. So like, you don't want to be playing those guessing games. Again, I think we're sort of jumping the gun. I think this is sort of like, you know, let's get a website up and running and let's get some orders coming through first and then cross that bridge when you need to. I'm not saying it's not an important issue, but I'm saying you're sort of like thinking about, you know, when you get to second base, what do you do there versus, well, let's just get to first base. You know what I mean?
It's just knowing that you've got a product that looks
Of course.
like good.
Of course. Absolutely. You know, like, you know, my biggest fear in doing all of this, and this is going to sound silly.
Yeah, that no one will buy anything.
Not that, that when I buy something and I rock up at somebody's house and they're disappointed with what I deliver, it mortifies me. It's never happened, but you know, like, it would kill me. I'd be so embarrassed and just be so disappointed for them, you know? That's what scares me the most. So that's what drives me to have it look amazing too, by the way, because I just, that's an anxiety that I have all the time, which is terrible because I shouldn't. It's an unclaimed fear that I have in selling this work. I just hate it. I just every time I'm like, it doesn't look fantastic. And I hate they say, yeah, it looks fantastic, because I'd just be mortified if they said, yeah, no, it's not what I expected. Oh, kill me now. You know, like take
it's
the dagger out of my heart. Questions. Let's keep going, but I certainly want to help answer everybody's questions, because I do want this to be, something you learn a lot from.
So as
just going on. Sorry.
Oh, hold on, Steph first, and then you.
No, Julie first.
Oh,
Like-
light. That's nice.
I was just going to say, just on from that, do you have a refund policy, Tom?
We have absolutely info here. Our guarantee.
Okay.
30-day money back guarantee. We say, buying over the artwork on the internet can be tricky. You just don't know, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Within 30 days. Do you know how many times I've had this, somebody claim me on this, actually say, I saw on your website that you have a guarantee and therefore I would like to take the print back. One person did that. I was pretty annoyed because it was a $5,000 print that they'd ordered.
Oh.
And she came in with a friend, and her friend convinced her to buy it. And she was one of these people who, I think she's, as what Mary calls a robin, they have trouble deciding. So therefore she needed her friend there to push her and say, actually, it would look great. And it looked fine in her home, but it just wasn't for her. She just decided after 30 days, look, I've decided it's just not something that I love. And I said, great, we'll swap it over for something else. And she said, actually, I saw on your website that you've got that guarantee. And I said, absolutely. Yep, we do. No problem. I'll refund it today. And the best thing that you can do is refund that money like there and then, straight away, because then you move on. It's like when you get a parking fine or a speeding fine. You can lament over it and think, oh, bloody hell, and all the rest of it. You pay it and you move on and you forget about it. And again, like how many artworks have I sold? And I've had one person take me up on that. But absolutely, I want to guarantee that. I want to say, you know what? Absolutely, if you're not happy, we'll just reprint it, or we'll exchange it for something else. We actually have another policy that we stole from a gallery that went to in Rodeo Drive in America a few years ago, that if somebody buys a limited edition print, and after 2 years, within 2 years, if they decide that they feel that the artwork isn't for them, they can actually come in and swap it for a print of the same, if not greater value. Because we want them to have something that they love, of course, but then also too, we know that, buying limited edition prints that they may want to buy as an investment might be something that they're, not experienced in doing, and therefore they would probably, feel peace of mind spending that amount of money to then know that if they perhaps, weren't quite sure on it, and if they wanted to come back after a couple of years and swap it over, they could. But again, we don't advertise that. And we don't often, we've never activated that, because at the end of the day, we consult with our clients very closely in order to make sure that whatever they're ordering is something that they love. Like I tell my clients, don't buy something that's just a wall filler. You go to bloody Harvey Norman or IKEA for those and spend far less than what you're spending with me. Come to me because you love what I do.
So Tom, when they say, oh, this is something I don't like, and they bring it back, then what happens to that particular print?
Oh, I just hang on to it, and I just, hope that I can sell it another time. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it's not something that I've had it happen a couple of times. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about Brilliant Prints drop shipping.
Yes.
The print when it's framed.
Yep.
I guess the incentive then for the customer is, if it's the same price framed as rolled, they may as well get it framed.
Yeah, ours isn't, but you could certainly price yours that way. I'd love you to price that way. God, that would be fantastic.
Well, I just thought I saw on yours.
It's not. So
okay, so
it's not. So if you say, for example, this artwork, if you want that framed, you just select frame print and the price goes up to that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Right. But then for us, well, for me, beginning, Yeah, I guess you'd have to be confident that Brilliant Prints, I didn't realize they drop shipped framed prints.
Oh, anything you get printed with them, they'll drop ship it. When you order it, it says, do you want to ship to your address or do you want to ship to somebody else's address? And you just go, no, ship to a different address, and you send it direct to the client.
Okay.
They do it all the time. Yeah, drop shipping is not something that's new. It's like,
No,
as
I
you know,
that,
as you know, I'm sorry, that sounded condescending. It's a, not a new sort of method or way of doing business, and that therefore most businesses, I would like to think, are set up in order for you to do that, so that
yeah, I get that side of it. I was just surprised that do they use glass or
acrylic? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They use acrylic and they don't use museum glass or 70% art glass. So therefore we don't use them for those artworks. We use Brilliant Prints for frame prints up to about 1 meter. We don't go beyond that. We use a local supplier for those because they do a better job. And they use museum glass and art glass. And most of the time we want to sell that type of work as well. So
yeah,
Brilliant Prints do all of our canvas frame prints. They do all of our metal frame prints up to 150 centimeters. And then they also do all of our acrylics as well, up to 2.5 meters wide now.
Okay.
So again, they're pretty much a one-stop shop where you can go and pretty much order anything you want.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, I don't know whether you already answered this question, but Annie in the chat wants to know, why do you offer a rolled print?
Yeah, I did answer that earlier. And the reason is because people might already have a relationship with a framer. They may want to have it framed in a different way to what we offer. So they might say, well, actually, we want it in a champagne frame and you don't offer that. And we've got all of our other artworks in our home in the same champagne frame. And we've got a framer down the road who knows exactly what we need and want. And we're just happy to get the frame print, a rolled print, please.
And they're posting it. They might post it with a note to their friend as a gift, and the friend might be overseas or whoever. Yeah,
that's it. And again, yes, we've got an order coming in now that's actually going to Chile, and that's going as a rolled print, because again, it's just, I'm not sending a frame print to Chile. It's not probably not ever going to get there, and it'll cost me too much. So, just the economics of it mean that sometimes it's best to send it as a rolled print. Yeah, let them deal with the framing. Again, not my preference, but that's the way it is. Any other questions before we move on? Great discussions, by the way, really good discussions. I think we've covered off a lot already, which is, sort of nuts and bolts about how you go about ordering the artwork and pricing it and what to offer. And again, there's lots of information here on my website, and you want to perhaps pore over that, but we have a size guide here. So we have this where we say, these are the different sizes we offer, and this needs to be updated because we don't offer that size anymore. We only just took that off the website, last week. But, this is what these sort of sizes look like over couches, for example. And then, what these different sizes look best as, we're trying to educate our clientele as to, what we do and what looks good. There's a video here that takes people through the different finishes that I have in the gallery and explanation. Most of the time people don't read on the internet. They won't go through and read all this stuff. So that's why we put together this very short 3-minute video, because we felt then that people would at least sit and watch a video for 3 minutes if they wanted to understand our finishes, and we take them through it in a video format, but they can also read about it here, for example. And I think it's very important that you have this, at least a photograph of what it is all about. This is how a metal print looks, and this is what it looks, why you would order it in that finish, and this is how we'd offer it with that nice frame around it. This is our acrylic prints. This is good for this. This is how it looks, side on, etc. Just, we know what it looks like, but most of your customers won't. So therefore, you need to educate them and tell them what it looks like.
Yeah.
Ideally, your website is an online gallery. So just think, if you had an offline gallery, if you had a retail space like me, you would have to have all of these options available. You would have to say, if you were offering a canvas frame print and somebody came into your gallery and said, So I saw on your website you offered canvas frame prints. What does that look like? And you go, oh, actually, we don't have any on display at the moment. But you're like, well, hold on a sec. No, you've got to have it on display. I'll get it. So therefore, you should have it, you know, available to see what it looks like on your website. Again, that's something that most artists do very poorly, very, very poorly. They'll have it here. They'll say, you know, choose your finish. And we know what a canvas frame print looks like, or we know what a metal frame print looks like, or we know what acrylic calls. You know, this acrylic gets called other things like face mount, ice mount, bloody this, bloody that. I mean, to me, it's just an acrylic print, you know, and if somebody goes, well, what does that mean? I go, just like a kitchen splashback.
Mm.
And they go, oh yeah, I know what that looks like. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I love those. That's great. Yeah, get that. So again, you've got to just presume that your customer knows nothing. You may know what a nice raw oak frame looks like, but they're like, raw oak, what color is that? Is that like chestnut? Is that dark wood or light wood? I've got no idea. Again, got to make sure you explain it, or at least have it shown on your website, etc. You know, we've recently put all these in. We had this custom coded so that you could click on this and it immediately takes you to that section, so they could read if they wanted about that, if they wanted to do
So
that.
Tom, do you take the photos like the corner, like you've got your photo obviously in the corner and what the finishes are?
Yep.
You did take those?
Yep. I'm not sure if Brilliant Prints offer that. I know they're starting to offer a whole lot more things to help people sell their sell the products that they offer. So just ask if they've got those available. They may well be able to offer you those without you having to do that yourself.
Tom, I had a question regarding the pricing.
Yes. By the way, speaking of pricing, there's a price list right here for you that shows you all the different sizes and the different prices that we offer. In fact, that's got to be updated because we don't offer that size anymore, and we don't offer that size anymore. But yes, there's our price list there. And again, you know, like that's one of the first things that we mention to people if they ring us and say, oh, can you come over and we offer in-home consultations. So we will say, and you should too. You should too. Absolutely. You should say, if you live, you know, in Melbourne, or if you live within, you know, if you live in Horsham, you know, Ararat, blah, 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 Ainsley, you know, the major towns in and around you, you should say, I'm more than happy to come over and do an in-home consultation. And with that, before you do that, you say, great. Are you aware of our prices, by the way? You've seen the prices online? And if they say no, you want to then go, right, okay, what did you have in mind? Where's it going to go so I can establish what sort of size that would be? Because the size determines the price. So I just want to give you a quote before I come out and see you. Absolutely, you must do that, because what would happen if you didn't do that?
Well, they'd die at the price and you have a sale, so you've wasted a trip.
You've wasted a ton. You've wasted many. And why am I telling you this? Because I've done it.
Experience.
I've done it many times where I've gone, oh, I'm so excited to get somebody who wants to buy my art. Brilliant. Okay. Yep. I'll be around in 10 minutes. Joking. But, you know, I'll come over tomorrow. Great. You know, we talk about it. And I had one 12 months ago. Measured it up, looked great, sent them the price, just crickets. And then he called me and said, that size, like, is there something smaller than that? And I'm like, all right, okay, you don't like the price. Because the smaller size, I wasn't even going to sell him. If he rang back and said, actually, we'd like to go ahead with a smaller size, I would have said, I'm sorry, I'm not able to sell that to you, because it was going on a 5-meter wall. So I quoted them for a 2.5. And so therefore, if something smaller went on the wall, it was going to look like rubbish. And I'm like, why would you do that? I prefer you not to purchase from me. You know, if you need something bigger at a smaller price, at a cheaper price, perhaps you want to go somewhere else, because that's not going to look any good on your wall. I've given you my expert advice and you're not following it. So therefore, I'm not going to sell you that artwork at that size. We put two. Let's put two at the smaller size on the wall side by side, but I'm not doing one at that size. Okay, go on.
So Tom, what I wanted to ask was, you said like times 3 or times 4 is actually
Yes.
the cost at which we, the price at which you would sell. But how do you determine your cost? Is it your time editing as well, or is it just the printing cost? Or...
No, that's just the cost of goods. So that's just the cost of the print. Yeah.
I see.
Times 3 or times 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then by timesing that by 3 or 4, that's determining other things like, your time and your
business overheads,
insurance and all the other stuff.
Okay, right. So
Maybe.
So say the print is costing say $100.
Yep.
For me, then if I'm going to sell it, then you would sell it for 300.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. At least. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not worth your while.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's okay. Anything else, guys, for the minute? No. Let's go. Anything else before we move on? I just want to go back quickly and talk about web design. Okay. When you're building your website, your homepage should answer the questions regarding what it is that you do. And generally they say, what is it that you do? What problems do you solve for me? And how do I order it? So at the end of the day, what is it I do? I would hope that just based on the image on my homepage here, the first one, that I sell artwork because there's an artwork on the wall, okay, in that room. And of course, we've added this to say we help you find inspiration for your walls from over 2,200 Australian fine art landscape photography artworks. So it says that we sell art because we help you find inspiration for your walls. We sell fine art landscape photography, okay, and Australian specifically, okay. We've gone through many reiterations or permutations of how we wanted to pitch that, but I'm pretty comfortable with where that's at the moment because I think that's pretty clear as to what we do. Unique fine art landscape photography delivered direct to your door with free shipping. And we offer free shipping because at the end of the day, it just means that it hopefully incentivizes people to buy. And I hate nothing more when I order anything over the internet that you go, oh, that's a good price. And the next thing you know, you get slugged in either $20-30 for shipping. And then you go, actually, it's not that cheap after all. I'm not going to order it. So I hate that. I'm sorry?
Is that worldwide, your free shipping?
No, it's Australia only.
Australia, yeah.
Yep. I should have an asterisk at the end of that there to illustrate that. But again, we don't sell many artwork overseas.
Delay.
Yeah, that's it. Which was through an order here in Australia anyway. She's buying it for her son who lives in Chile. Bestsellers versus new artwork. What you should do is this image here should tell people what you do. And then as they scroll down the homepage, it should direct them as to where you want them to go. So, for here, I'm saying that people might want to go to bestsellers or to look at my new artwork. But if they bypass that, they can then go into these other categories here, like, beaches, aerials, waterfalls, etc. If they go bypass that, they could look via state. So they can jump into the states here. If they bypass that, they might want to buy a book, visit my gallery. And then this is something new that we've done where we're starting to, we've got a blog. And in fact, we have artwork ideas for your home. And we've got about once a week, we're popping up a new article here on just ideas for people's homes. So they might, I've never thought of putting any sort of storm photography artwork in my home. I'll have a look at that, or black and white photography, et cetera, et cetera. So we're giving people ideas as to what they want to perhaps do.
So you have that in a separate section, not with the actual photo itself?
This is a blog, basically, Julie.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they click on that, for example, this comes to the blog section of my Shopify website. And this is an article that I've written that has, the photographs and then a little explanation or as to, why you would put autumn photographs in your walls, various reasons why, and with photographs to illustrate that.
And do you outsource your blog?
Why do you ask that, Steph?
Because I'm curious to know if you've got a VA doing it, or if, because then that would be an added expense.
You are a switched on young lady, aren't you? I
She's
said
very
that, I told you that I write those blogs. Perhaps I have a ghostwriter. I have recently outsourced that. Yes.
Yeah.
And the
Because
reason,
that's a lot. That's a lot of work doing a blog.
yeah,
It doesn't say blog anywhere.
this is, well, it doesn't need to, Ainsley. It's not it's a blog, but it's artwork ideas for your home.
Okay.
It's just a series.
Because I'm not a blogger.
It's just a series of articles, but it's in the format of a blog in a sense that a blog is basically just a series of articles, is it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a series of thoughts and ideas that are generally
It doesn't need to say blog.
that generally have a date attached to it. So yes, Ainsley, if I hadn't changed that to artwork ideas for your home, it would say blog.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to say blog because I want it to say artwork ideas for your home so that people go, oh, okay, wow, that's interesting. And yes, Steph, I do outsource that. I recently outsourced that. I have a lovely lady who does that for me. She writes an article for me once a week because more recently, as you've just suggested there, I'm just trying to free up my time so that I spend my time where it's best spent rather than, that's half a day to a day for me to perhaps write something on that, which I'd probably struggle to write, as opposed to getting somebody who's very good at writing about interior design, who could once a week send me 500 words and say, there you go, Tom, there's the next lot of words for your blog. Which I love that I've done that, by the way. And again, but it's a small expense. I don't pay her a lot, but she's very happy with what I pay her. But it's not something that I would have time to do if I didn't get somebody to do it. And but also too, sorry, that's not the train of thought I was having. The train of thought I was having was that I'm not guaranteed that I'll get any business from those articles anyway. So therefore I'm willing to, but I'm not paying a lot. So therefore I'm willing to have that expense in the unlikely scenario that I don't get any sales from people looking at that blog, but I think it adds value to my business. So therefore I'm willing to spend that money.
Yeah. So the opportunity cost
of
those is worth it, because also, even if she only writes 6 months worth of
blog posts,
articles, then articles, let's say, then you can just put them on again and again and again, because the interior things, the colors may change, but the wording necessarily won't.
Yeah, I'd like to think that it'd have value for the next 4 or 5 years, and therefore I'd have 20 or 30 great articles there that people could generate ideas from. And it's cost me whatever it's cost me, but it has longevity.
Yeah, because it's cost you, and so you own those articles now, so that's your marketing collateral as well.
That's it. And then we put these into emails and we send them out to our database, and then we repurpose them on Facebook and socials, etc. So we're trying to not just use it as in one spot, i.e. the blog that people may or may not see. We're trying to say, okay, well, let's post it on our socials, let's put it on LinkedIn, let's put it on an email to our database, etc.
Yeah.
Tom, with these these articles, the images are the mock-ups.
Yes.
Where do you
great question. So
Canvy.
Thank you. Is that you, Julie?
Yeah.
Great. I was just trying to remember. Julie put me on to this one here called Canvy, Canvy. Right. I'm going to write that down so it just reminds me to put that in the show notes. But Canvy is one that you can try. They have a limited number of rooms if you go for the free subscription, but if you pay, and how much was that again, Julie?
It was $110 for the year or something like that.
$110. And with that, you can then get access to all of the rooms. So for example, I'm not sure if I've paid for this or not, but for example, you might say, well, actually I want, a living room. So you type in living room, and then the photos come up here and you get to select whatever living room you want. And you go, actually, wow, that's nice. And then you can then import your photo into this program here on the internet. and then just place your artwork on the wall there. There are mobile versions as well. I've been using one for several years called Art Rooms. Art Room.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the little logo just there.
Which one, Tom? The bottom left?
I'm just trying to, yes, this one here, the fluoro one.
Oh, fluoro, okay.
The fluoro one, it's called Art Rooms. Okay. There's quite a few on the internet now. There used not to be, but there's quite a few on the internet now that have the ability on either on your mobile phone or on your desktop to be able to do those rooms. When you're doing those rooms, guys, don't select anything that looks too clean and clinical like this. Choose something that looks like it is a home.
Homely, yeah.
Homely. This isn't too bad. That's bordering on clinical. But like that one I showed you before, like that could be anyone's home. That's not unreasonable to think that that's a nice house, other than I wouldn't have that shade of pink. I'd go for something a little bit brighter, a little bit more.
Plus, you can change the color of the walls and sometimes the furniture and stuff as well.
Right. That's very good. That's a beautiful room. Why wouldn't you put something into that room? You know what I mean? So yeah, just bear that in mind. Obviously that's horrendous. I mean, that I don't know how they got into my living room in order to take that photo. I'm going to have to get onto them with copyright on that one, but I'm not very happy about that showing off my house like that.
And the cats off the lounge though.
This is horrible too. Like, look at that. Like, that's just doesn't look like anybody's house. Make it look like something Australian, because then people will relate to it. And that's why you've got these photographs in these rooms, because you want people to be able to relate to it and go, actually, yeah, no, I could see that in my house. That looks like, well, that looks like my living room. Yep. Beautiful. Yep. So that's Canvy. Art Placer is another one that's on the desktop. Art Placer is another one that allows you to then go in here and place your photographs on the walls.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably with a little bit more sophistication than what Canvy does, but only look at that if you need that functionality. You can put photographs on an angled wall, for example, things like that. But have a play around with each of those and see which one you like the look of more than anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, guys, for the minute?
At an appropriate time to you, Tom, can you touch upon whether Wix is good or Squarespace?
Yeah, that's a great question, Swati. So there's various providers, for example, right? So there's Shopify, which in the last sort of 5 years has really come on board as being that sort of platform that if you want to sell something online, particularly in the sort of art space, and for people who make their own clothes or sell their own jewelry or take their own photographs, I've found this a very easy platform to work on. Got a lot of third-party apps which you can incorporate into your website, but then start to cost you money. So you've got to be aware of that. On its own, it's probably going to cost you about $30 to $40 a month to run this, which is not unreasonable. You can also buy a domain through them, the domain being your URL or web address. Okay.
On that note, Tom, Annie has asked, should you register your name or have a business name with ASIC?
I saw that. Look, you don't have to register a company name with ASIC. Again, I'm not an accountant or a financial advisor, so please discuss with them, what's necessary. But at this stage, unless your business is doing tens of thousands of dollars, you probably don't need to be registered with GST, and you don't have to have a business name registered as such. You could easily just purchase a URL or domain name through Shopify or any other platform, and not have to go through any other formalities. But again, get professional advice on that if you feel you need to. For example, I don't have tomputt.com registered as a business name or anything else. And I've owned that web address for many years. The laws have changed. In the past, if you wanted to own a .com.au domain name, you had to have that registered as a business name with, say, the business, the business names of Victoria, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
Depends.
I think if you have a website and you call it a business name or something, you really need to register that. Otherwise, you won't be able to claim anything. Your invoices and stuff are made out to that, whereas it's got to be made out to that business name to claim it.
Okay.
It also depends on the hosting place. So if you go on to someone in Australia, you can get the .com.au, but if you go on to GoDaddy or any of the US-based ones and try and register .com.au, then they will ask you, do you have, what is your, ABN equivalent?
ABN, yeah. Now look, if you're looking to, again, this is something that you want to speak to your accountant about, but if you're looking to obviously make this more of a business rather than just selling a few photographs on the side, it would be making sense, I think, to get an ABN. And in fact, with an ABN, you can open up a wholesale account with Brilliant Prints and take advantage of their wholesale prices. Okay. Shopify, look, there is others, as Swati alluded to. Squarespace is another one that I've seen thrown around. I can't advise on any of these others because I just haven't used them.
Okay, right.
So therefore, it's up to you perhaps just to do a little bit of your own research to sort of see what they offer, have a look at the templates, and look, I think at the end of the day, I would like to think that these are very easy to use because they're designed for people like yourselves who just want to get something, have a play with it, easily upload a few photographs yourself and get a basic website up and running as quickly as possible. That's what they should do, because at the end of the day, it shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't take you thousands of hours. It should be something that if you design it well, like I've instructed you to tonight, where you just go, do you know what? Across the top, I'm just going to have home. I'm going to have shop or gallery. I'm going to have an about, and that's all you need. Shit, you could sell your photos on a one-page website. You literally could have a one-page website that at the top has that beautiful banner that has, welcome, quality, beautiful landscape photography. The next one is, here's all your photo products that you sell, in little squares. There's your 30, 40 photos that you think are your best. Okay. Yeah. There's the next section there that has about me. Nice photo of you holding your artwork. There's a little story, who cares? A couple of paragraphs. I've been photographing for 20 years. I'm really passionate about landscape photography. I'm based on the Mornington Peninsula. Here's my phone number to call me for any orders. Yeah. Or you can order online, and then maybe a few testimonials if you've got some, and that's it. But literally do it on one page. And you wouldn't even need to have anything at the top here, any of this other rubbish like I've got here, like bloody hell. Look at all this. Look at all this. I don't know where to find stuff half the time.
Yours is you have a lot of images to sell. But if I just want to do like a portfolio website, would you suggest Shopify or Squarespace?
Are you looking to sell the art, Swati?
Yes, at some stage, but at the moment, if it is just like a portfolio website, just to get the work online. I have Instagram, but I haven't put any time in the website yet.
Well, of course, yes. You can also have Instagram shopping enabled, whereby if you have a website where you can purchase your art, when you go on to, say, Instagram, and I know I'm going on a little bit of a side tangent here, you can actually tag your photos. For example, here I've tagged this photo. Let's not do that one. Let's go another one. Where are they? I've deleted them all, haven't I? But it'll come up with that little symbol in the corner there, like you saw here, this little, no, that's a video.
Yeah.
There's Instagram shopping anyway, where then you tag that product, they click on it in the photo, and that takes you through to your website where they can then purchase it.
Okay, right. Okay.
So that's the advantage of obviously having a website where you can tag people or tag products in your socials. But in terms of, what was your question again? You were talking in terms of.
I was talking about like if I just want to have a portfolio website.
She was asking, are there other places? So you mentioned Shopify.
What do you mean by? Yeah, but what do you mean by portfolio website, as in something that looks sexy as opposed to Shopify, which looks a bit more e-commerce? Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, Shopify can also look nice. I'm not saying that. What I mean is portfolio website doesn't necessarily have a shopping cart.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, I know what you mean. So it's not e-commerce. So you can't buy the photos, but you can at least look at them.
Yeah, like you may be able to buy it, like they could call me, or they could just put their inquiry in the form,
Yes.
and then I could address that through email
Yes.
or whatever it is. But at the moment, just to put the work out there.
Yes.
Because getting an e-commerce thing done does involve a lot of time and effort, and like.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to involve a lot of time and effort. And I think it would take just as much time as it would to put a portfolio website together, because I think that the time that you're putting into a portfolio website is kind of like, right, let me get the words together. Let me see how it's going to sort of look. And then, you know, you're putting your contact details on, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. How much more difficult is it for you when you say go into Shopify to create one product, decide on what sizes you're going to offer and what finishes you're going to offer, as in a roll print versus a canvas print. And then all you do is just duplicate that product, and it duplicates everything. And all you do is just change the name of the product and put in a different photo. So it doesn't take long necessarily in order to load up your photos in Shopify to then, and probably like many of these other e-commerce websites, and at least have it available that if somebody wanted to buy it over the internet, they could, rather than having to call you. Because remember, although I've said, you know, it's great to have your phone number and you want people to be able to call you, maybe that's a barrier to somebody ordering as well. Maybe they don't want to call you. So if you don't have the option for them to order online, maybe they won't make a purchase.
Okay, right. So it's not too complex to create that e-commerce thing like shopping cart?
No, it's all done for you. It's all done for you. That's why these websites exist, because at the end of the day, you just plug in the information that they need, i.e., you know, you'd put in your, you know, your address, your bank account details, so they can obviously pay you. You decide how you want to get paid, as in, you know, I'm happy to offer PayPal, or I'm happy to offer, you know, Visa or Master or whatever you like. And, you know, that's a once-off setup.
Okay.
And by the way, I do also, in the show notes, I will also put a friend of mine, Ian Wallace. Now, Ian is an e-commerce expert, web design expert. He does all of the preparedness for my books to go to print.
Okay.
He's an expert in this space, and he actually helps photographers like yourself put together an e-commerce website, and he's very good at what he does, very reasonably priced, so that if you were saying, you know what, this all sounds too hard, or I just don't have time for it, and I just love somebody to do it for me, you would ring Ian and have a chat with him, and he would say, yeah, I can absolutely do that for you. This is going to be the price, and you go ahead with that.
Okay.
So you don't have to do it yourself. Look, I understand that some people aren't so web savvy as what I am. I'm reasonably web savvy. I don't know coding as such, but I know my way around the internet pretty well in these sorts of websites. So I find it very comfortable, and I love doing it. And I know for some people it's like pulling teeth, and they would prefer to put their head in the toilet.
So Tom,
why did you bring up this? Sorry.
Julie first and then Swati. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just on that note, when you set up a website, just say it's WebSpace or whatever,
Yep.
does that automatically come with e-commerce, or is that a separate thing?
No, it does. It just, you know, most of the time, like this is a Weebly, for example, e-commerce by Square, Squarespace, Shopify, etc. They're e-commerce websites.
And that to have e-commerce to be able to sell. Is that right?
They're set up in order to sell your product. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not something you pay extra for as such. Like if you don't want e-commerce, you don't use them. You go to somewhere else. You go to a different provider, like as Swati was saying, where you just want to have a portfolio of photographs. You don't get to sell them. But if you happen to get a phone call and somebody said, I really love that photograph, can you know, what size do you offer? And you could do it over the phone.
Yeah, but it's the e-commerce for the sales. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Which, by the way, we've got to be incredibly thankful for, because, you know, 15 years ago when I was starting Ella and Friends and I was doing a little bit of product photography for guys trying to sell clothing, there was none of this software available, and you had to go and have it all custom built, and it was a bit of a dog's breakfast, and it cost a lot of money. These guys have made it so cheap in order to be able to, you know, sell your artwork or sell whatever online, that that's why there's so many great e-commerce websites out there, and why there's so many websites out there selling stuff online, because this software never used to exist. Believe me, it was, as I said, a real dog's breakfast to get any of this sort of stuff set up. It was a frigging nightmare.
So can you recommend how many sort of categories or how many photos to sort of start off with?
That's a great question, Julie. Yeah. Look, I think less is more. I think at the end of the day, just don't put stuff up just to populate it. At the end of the day, I think, you know, go through your photographs and decide which are your favorites. I don't have everything I have taken here, obviously. I regularly sort of curate this website and go through it. And well, I've probably done that enough now, but I would certainly go through this every now and again and perhaps go, oh, I don't like that photo anymore, and delete it. So I'm really about the integrity of the images to make sure that I've only got stuff up there that I really like, because I don't want somebody to order something where I go, oh my God, I can't believe they ordered that photo. It's the worst photo I've ever taken. And that's going to be hanging on somebody's wall.
Yeah.
Why would you have a photo like that on your website?
Because you might have at the time decided that you liked it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Or you were doing it just to sort of like, oh, I haven't got many photos on my website, so I'll just throw that one up. And inevitably somebody will buy that one, which is fine because they obviously like it. But if you don't like it and you don't want that hanging on somebody's wall, don't put it up on their website. But to answer your question, Julie, as many as you want, but sometimes, you know, too many choices just makes it confusing. So you could easily have as many as 3 pictures in one category, or, you know, 40 pictures on the whole website. You know, like how many photos do you need in order to make a sale? One. The answer is 1.
Okay.
You know, as simple as that. Like, you know, the artists and us photographers tend to think that the more photos we have on our website, or the more time we spend on our website, the more chance we have of making a sale. Not correct. Not correct at all. As I said at the start of the conversation, the best way that you're going to sell your art is to A, come and speak to me if you need help, B, buy this book and make sure you have a good read through it, and C is promoting your website, because you can have the best website in the world, but if nobody knows about it, they can't order, or they won't order because they don't know about it. So it is, you know, like there's 2 hurdles to overcome. There's the first hurdle is just getting a website up and, you know, getting us something that you're happy with. And then B, it's like, right, shit, I've got that done. How do I now make a sale? If that's important to you. For some people, it's not. For some people, it's just like, I'd like to have a website. If somebody happens to stumble across it and they order a print, I'm happy. Versus I actually want to sell some because I want to actually make it a bit more of a business. I actually want to have this so that it generates a bit more extra cash for me, because that'd be another Tom Putt photographic workshop that I could go on. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it can be as serious as that. It can, absolutely, but you've got to devote the time. You've got to say, right, okay, I'm going to spend every Saturday morning or every Saturday afternoon, you know, or every Tuesday night, not Monday nights, because you're with me. I'm going to spend every Tuesday night and I'm going to spend 2 hours on my website, because that's what it's going to need to take, because it's not just something that does it itself. You know, you've got to work on many facets of the business. And then unfortunately, I've found that the more you dig, the more you uncover, and the more questions you ask, the more you just realize, oh my God, this is huge. This is like, this is way complicated. And it doesn't have to be, but if you want to do it well, it gets bigger than Ben-Hur, and you're like, okay, what is SEO? I'm sorry, what's that? And you're like, search engine optimization. That's like critical for your business. And you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean? And then all of a sudden you go down that, you know, rabbit hole, and you have to learn about SEO, and you get doing that yourself, and you're downloading plugins into your website in order to get that up and running, so that if somebody types in, you know, bright or autumn, you know, landscape photos, hopefully, you know, you come up. Now, I'm not even sure that I'm going to for sale. You know, that's the sort of thing that you want to appear as, you know what I mean?
At the top of the list.
Yeah, at the top of Google, for example, so that somebody clicks on it and goes, actually, wow, oh, Tom Putt autumn fine art landscape prints. Look at that. There you go. So, you know, that's how complicated how deep you can go with all of this if you really want to. Absolutely.
It's having your name so many times in your website, isn't it? Like,
no, it's not just necessarily that at all. No. Because
there's
how many? No, because who's going to search for you? They don't know about you.
no, certain words and stuff like that.
That's called keyword stuffing that used to work about 10 years ago, but doesn't these days.
Okay.
Have you got landing pages for each of your images, Tom?
Yes. Sorry, have I got what?
Landing pages.
Well, each photo is a landing page in that regard, but we're in the process of optimizing those for search as well. Yeah. And you'll notice on that, just while we're on this tangent, this is not a good example of it, but on other categories here, some people have the idea that if they call their photograph a fancy name, they'll end up selling it. Now, I like that idea and it could absolutely do that for you. But if you're looking for some person to randomly find your photo, let's say, for example, do you think you've got more chance of somebody typing in the location of the photograph that you've got, so therefore they end up purchasing from you? If the answer is yes, you want to make sure your photograph is labeled that way as also. So let's take this for example. This one is called Bell Gorge, Gibb River Road, the Kimberley, Western Australia. Why did I call it that? It's not a very sexy name. In fact, what we could do is have this photograph here and call this one Distant Waterfall, or
you won't find it,
or Kimberley Glow, or Sunset Waterfall, or Red Earth, or whatever else. You know what I mean? You get my drift, don't you? Yeah. No one's going to find that. No one in their hell, if they're going, I'd like to find a photograph of Bell Gorge from the Gibb River Road in the Kimberley in Western Australia. I'm desperate to have a photograph of that because I went there on holidays recently and I love it and I want to have it hanging on my wall.
Getcha. Yeah.
Photo or landscape photo. I'm trying to think of what people would type. What would you guys type in if you wanted that? Would you say photo for sale or print?
Print.
Images.
Print.
Images.
Just print. Well, look at this, top of Google. Bell Gorge, Gibb River Road, the Kimberley, Western Australia. Click on that. Maybe it's because I'm typing it in and it knows me, but that might be a different result if you were typing that in a different state or in a different country even, because Google is optimized for that. But for example, you know, Kenny D's come up here as well, my mate. You know, he texted me the other day. Ken Duncan messaged me.
Did he?
He did.
What, to have coffee with Ray?
He messaged me. He said, there you go. There's Kenny's photo of it. No, I messaged him about a series of books that he used to do called the Masters of Light series. He did one on himself. He did one on Peter Java. And I messaged him and said, are you going to keep doing those? I really enjoyed those. And he messaged me back and he said, by the way, I don't check this messenger very often. So here's my phone number. Just text me if you like. And we had a good old little chat online. It was lovely. Yeah, I felt quite
special. Best buddies now.
Best buddies. So this is absolutely what I would encourage you to do, because I would like to think that if you've got a few nice photos, let's say, Julie, you've got a really nice Carragini photo. So you might have Kermit's Pool, right? So you type in Kermit's Pool, Carragini print, and you might like to think that you'd come up at the top here, you know, where somebody could buy that photograph from you. Oh, look, here's Tom Putt, Kermit's Pool. Is that any good? So my point being is that what I've actually done is I've learned the hard way and realized that if people actually want to, if I'm chasing that buyer of somebody looking for a very specific location, I need to make sure that my photograph is labeled the same way.
To check your, you know, you were saying that your Mac is probably skewed because it knows that it's you, but if you went incognito and typed that, just to see if that would test it.
Yep.
I can tell you come out on top on mine when I search for it.
Oh, I love coming out on top. Look at that. You know, like, is it likely that somebody would type in something like that? Who knows? look, not many people are going to search for that, but at least I'm there. At least if somebody does,
but they might start by Kimberley, or they might start by Gibb River Road.
They might, you know, they might too. Exactly. But you know, you noticed how I've done everything possible here.
Yeah.
What if they typed in Gibb River Road prints for sale, or Gibb River Road photos, or the Kimberley photos, or Western Australia even? So I've gone narrow. I've gone really narrow, and then I've gone out from there. So I've said, right, this place is called Bell Gorge. I know it's on the Gibb River Road. It's in the Kimberley, and it's in Western Australia. So I've actually stuffed all those words into the title, because then there's no second guessing from anybody who's there to then say, right, like, you know, what is that photo? They know specifically. And I've sold prints this way, 100%. I've sold people prints like this. Oh, by the way, I was just on your, you know, I was just on your website. I've just ordered a print. Yeah, I saw that. Thanks very much. By the way, how did you hear about me? Oh, I just did a Google search. Oh, what did you search for? That's the next question you've got to ask. What did you search for?
So what if you've got another print from Bell Gorge? What do you name that?
You can call it Bell Gorge 2, or you call it Bell Gorge Waterfall, or you call it...
so just add another keyword into it.
Just another word. Yeah. Make sure it has everything in there that you want.
Yeah.
And then you can put something else in as well.
So I've noticed some people on their websites actually give the image a code, like a reference number.
Yes.
So that's not a good idea then, because it's...
alongside of that print, it's fine. Salty Wings, for example, do it. They have this number here. Look.
So
James price point. Now that's not for any other reason that if somebody orders that photograph, they know to type that into their Lightroom catalog, for example, and that's how they find that photograph straight away in order to order it for that person.
Oh, okay.
It's got nothing to do with you, the customer.
Yeah.
It's got everything to do with them being the seller
So
of that.
a cataloging thing, yeah.
It's a cataloging thing. Wowzers, this. You see, okay, so this is a way not to do it. Have they changed?
Too busy.
Have they changed this recently? Because if they have, this is bad. Have a look at this.
Too busy. You can't.
Like, what the hell is going on here? There's all these different sizes. That's the size. So hold on. What am I ordering here? An A2. This one, is it only available like this? Can it come in a different size? Is that a rolled print, or is that, what is that? Okay, so they've got the different categories here. This is a dog's breakfast. Look, I love these guys, and these guys have set the standard for a long time. But if they've gone and recently changed this is terrible. I have no idea.
Confusing. Hard to read.
Very confusing, hard to read.
But there must be a way that there must be a reason that they've changed it.
There's a reason, and I'm not sure that it's the best. I think I know what they're doing here, but this is not obvious that this is a heading. This is actually a heading to say material. What are you ordering? Okay, they're all the different things. This is the orientation. What orientation do you want? Landscape or portrait?
So why isn't the heading in with the?
Well, yeah, maybe they're going through a process of just sort of refining this, and they're not quite there yet. But this is not good. Again, I don't like websites that have like 5 different options here, like, you know, for a size, because just make it, you know, 2 or 3 different sizes, you know, and sizes that you want to sell, not sizes that, you know, you think you should sell. We took the 60 by 40 centimeter off our website recently because we didn't want to sell that size. We don't think we're that kind of artist to sell small prints. We want to sell bigger prints, you know, and so therefore we don't want to sell that smaller size. This fine art paper, classic frame, deep set frame, but what, you know what I mean? Like, that's just too confusing. I like my options better, where you just, it's 1, 2, 3.
Drop down, yeah.
It's a drop down. It's very easy just to step through this. Right. Number 1, choose your size. Okay, I'll get that size. Number 2, choose your finish. Okay, I'll get a framed print. And okay, number 3, choose your color. Black, white, raw oak. It's pretty bloody simple. You know what I mean? The only thing that would be better than this is that when you choose that option, the photograph in that size framed print in raw oak was sitting right there over the
I was just thinking about that.
Would be ideal, absolutely. And look, the Salty Wings guys have done this pretty well, in a sense that they you know, have it in a white, you know, raw oak, black, And they have various different rooms. Look at this, like horizontal, vertical, like they've paid, or they've put a lot of time and effort into that.
That's a lot of work for every image, isn't it?
A lot of work. Yeah. That's something that we're going to have done to our website at the moment, but it's going to cost me at least $2,000. And I just don't have that money at the moment. But I'm not having that many done either, by the way. I said I wanted in a black, a white, and a raw oak frame, and I wanted in 2 different rooms. That's it. I don't need 500 different bloody rooms. Like, like if you can.
What about your acrylics and canvas? You're not going to do that.
We might even have those in, like when you put them on a wall here like this, it's very different. It's very difficult to see that we've got a frame around it sometimes.
Yeah.
Versus, acrylic or a canvas, et cetera. So I'd prefer them just to sort of get a feel for what, the photo on a wall looks like, regardless of whether it's canvas framed, et cetera. And that if they want more info, they can, about how each of those look, they can obviously scroll down here or watch my video. Yeah.
Tom, which is your most popular image that you have sold on the website?
It's the one here, when you go into Mornington Peninsula. It's this one here, Sorrento Back Beach. So this one here, not necessarily the most popular one that I've sold on the website only, but this is the most popular sold print that we've sold thus far, both online and offline. So in the gallery as well.
Have you had anyone come in and say that was me in the photo?
Not yet. We're waiting for it. Yeah, waiting for that to happen. Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love somebody. It's probably less likely now because this image is about 3-4 years old now. So I think as time goes on, it's less likely that somebody remembers being down on that day in that year.
Yeah.
It was Australia Day long weekend back in 2017, 18, I believe. 2017. So yeah, I think it's unlikely.
I'm a bit off the topic, but I'm
up for that. You know that.
I'm really enjoying my Australian Geographic calendar with your images.
Oh, thank you so much. That's funny that you mentioned that, Jenny, and I'm going to go off on a side tangent. I loved the opportunity we got to actually be a part of that calendar, and I worked on that sort of job for a number of years, as in I worked hard in order to get onto that.
Yep.
Not one sale, as far as I know, directly from that calendar. As in, somebody going, "Oh my God, Tom, I've just got your calendar. I love it, and I'd really love to have that photo from August hanging on my wall." Not had that inquiry. And you know what?
I guess I was asking. Calendars are a good Christmas present for people.
Yep.
Is there any thought to producing another calendar, or?
Now, it's a great question, Julian. I love talking about this stuff. As you probably know, we've been going 2 hours already. So for anyone who needs to jump off, feel free. This is recorded. I will put it up tonight on the portal. But if you want to stay. It's not something that I will do again. I wouldn't do it on my own. And the reason being is this. I love the idea that people do calendars, and I walked into my newsagents today actually, and there's calendars frigging everywhere. And I just thought, do you guys sell this stuff or what? But clearly they do. And, there's big businesses that produce a lot of calendars every year. And in fact, I've been contacted recently by several companies that want to use my photographs for calendar images. Absolutely. The problem I have with calendars is this. I don't generally produce or invest even into anything that I don't use myself. So I don't use a calendar. So therefore, I find it hard to sort of justify producing one. The second is this. They have a use by. They have a very short use by date. So commercially, if I got that beautiful calendar printed, which would cost me, we got a quote on that, and that was about $20 to get one of those printed. 20, maybe not that much. I'd have to look at the quote. So we got our book printers to actually, give us a quote based on that size and quality. How much would this cost? And it was reasonable enough, but we would have had to have ordered 1,000. And I just wasn't confident that I was going to be able to sell 1,000 in a very short period of time. And oh my God, COVID would have totally screwed it this year as well. So, when you get a calendar, I see them sort of out about now. So now is the time that people are starting to maybe think about getting a calendar for next year, although I still think it's really early. So you've got maybe from September and let's say to the 1st of January. Some people might buy a calendar after January. Let's go to the end of January just to be generous. So September, October, November, December, January. You've got 5 months to sell those calendars. And I'm not confident that I can sell
you
that.
have to discount it after.
Well, that's it. And then all those that you don't sell, you have to throw in the bin. So you have got to sort of do, for you guys, I like the idea of you guys selling calendars because I know I have plenty of people who've asked me this question before. And I say, sure, how much is it going to cost you? And they go, oh, well, I can order 10 for like $50. And I go, great, do it, because it's costing you $5 each. You might sell them for 20. You're making a bit of money and you're not investing thousands of dollars to produce hundreds of calendars that you might have to throw out at the end and you've made no money. So we're living in great times in a sense that calendars and books and things like that, we can do as small print runs and not have to invest tens of thousands of dollars like we used to do in the past. So if you're wanting to go and do that for yourself, absolutely. It'd be a great little add-on to have onto your website. If you're getting enough people looking at your website, you might sell a calendar here and there, which is great. It's a good marketing tool because it's sitting on somebody's wall that you would have your logo on every page so that, it's reminding people of your brand and a link to your website, all the rest of it. You'd market it up so that you give yourself the best chance of making a sale from that, if that's what you're aiming for. But I've not gone down that path. And the only time I did was this year, and that was because they printed it. Yep. I just supplied the photos. Does that answer your question?
Yep,
Jenny?
thank you.
Yeah. But I sound discouraging, but I'm not meaning to be. I'm saying from my personal point of view, it's not a good commercial decision for me to make for my gallery, although we did look at it very hard. After we got such great feedback, and we did actually buy 100 of those calendars from Australian Geographic and sold them through the gallery, and they sold extremely well. But I can't order any less than 1,000 if I'm going to print them myself. And I'm not, we might break even after 300, but that's a lot of calendars to sell.
But wouldn't that depend also on where you opted to have them printed? Because if you're going through your book publisher, then that's one option, but places like Memento, who are Australian based,
yep,
do really good quality.
Yes.
And might not be that expensive, and there's no minimum.
True. Absolutely. Yep. That could be the possibility as well. Again, like it's as I sort of alluded to already, it's something that probably drags me away from my core focus, which should be selling books and art, as opposed to, oh, this is another shiny object, let's go and chase that, which distracts me from the other things that need my attention. So that's why I wouldn't go down that path for now.
I'm waiting for your jigsaw puzzles, Tom.
I would, okay. When I think jigsaw puzzles, I think Ken Duncan, and I think
no, that's why I said it.
I think he's cheapened his brand by doing that, but by the same token,
Tommy P.
Sorry,
Penny D and Tommy P.
Tommy P. Look, I'm not criticizing Ken. For me personally, I think it's cheapened his brand, but then perhaps that's helped build his brand in a sense.
The Sorrento backbeat would be an awesome jigsaw puzzle.
That would be an interesting one, wouldn't it not? That would be interesting.
Yeah. And that's what people are looking for in lockdown.
Right. Well, they are. And look, I know other photographers who have done extremely well selling puzzles during this time and over the last 18 months. I'm sure they've done very well out of it. Brilliant Prints are now starting to offer jigsaw puzzles, I notice. I'd love to see some of my photos as a jigsaw puzzle as well. Again, it's just, one of those things that I think would distract me from doing other things, which is like selling art.
There's a new niche for you, digital jigsaw puzzles.
Is that possible?
Oh, I have no idea.
It'd be interesting though, wouldn't it?
Well, in all that spare time you've got, you could actually look and see whether virtual digital jigsaw puzzles are a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. When Steph said all that spare time, I thought she was speaking to somebody else, not me. I think as I'm getting older and hopefully wiser, I'm realizing that time is not infinite. Is that what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, infinite, and that the more I try and take on, the less I'm going to get done, as in the less of what I really want to get done, which is more like run fantastic workshops, sell my photography and have the gallery be a success, sell some books, which I love doing, which I'm passionate about. And really, I don't have time for much else. So if it means that, I'm looking at jigsaw puzzles and I'm looking at calendars and I'm, this, that, and the other, it's something else that's dragging my attention away from what really needs more of my effort, so to speak. So
that's when you go into semi-retirement, when you do those things.
Perhaps I hope that I'm a few years away from that, though, semi-retirement, so to speak. I don't know what.
Semi-retirement, you can buy Kenny D's and you can do his jigsaw puzzles.
I don't know what I'd do in retirement. I'd be bored shitless. You should. Both Mary and I are suffering from a little bit of twiddling the thumbs at the moment. Not that we don't have things to do, but the monotony of lockdown is spouses.
Things.
There's only so many haircuts you can do, isn't there?
Well, I must be due for another one. Well, I gave the dog a haircut a few weeks ago, and then I got a haircut. So we've
that's what I'm talking about.
Become proficient at that. But it's you just want to be open again. You just want to, you want to be traveling again. You want to be running workshops again. You want to be taking photos again. All those sorts of things. It's it wears you down, as we well know, after months and months and months and months and months. It's hard to keep motivated, and especially when you run your own business, to be able to then, wake up in the morning and go, right, okay, I'm going to attack this project this week and go hell for leather at that. That's for sure.
I've just put myself into Melbourne's lockdown.
Have you, Ainsley? Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Who voluntarily does that?
You're in Bowie then, are you? You're up this way.
I'm in Melbourne, yeah. Yeah, right. Bowie, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, somebody else was going to say something there?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Tom, like you did mention about like those jigsaw puzzles to like Brilliant Prints offering. Is there anyone in Melbourne who
they don't necessarily need to be in Melbourne. I do have a couple of other suppliers that I know of that I could put in the show notes. So I'll look them up and I'll put their details down as well. Yep.
And there was one more question before we end the session. The Weebly website.
It's what he's calling the end of the session, everybody. Go on.
No, because I know it is nearing the end of almost.
Correct. I think we're drawing to a close. You're quite right. Yeah.
So the Weebly website that you brought up, is that something that is like a plugin for Squarespace?
No, this Weebly came across my desk the other day because somebody asked me to review their website. It's by Square. Do you know who Square is? Square are those little white tablets that often you see at markets.
Oh, I see. Okay.
People use for payments. Square is a brilliant company that was started by the guy who started Twitter.
Okay.
His name escapes me. I should know. That's bad. But it's if the Square are behind Weebly, I'm sure it's a very good company because that Square payment system is absolutely game changer. Brilliant software, brilliant system, etc. So look, the other thing is you just go into here and you just sort of click on a few things, and they'll often have sample websites, or here's a few people who are already using our templates. And you just take a look and decide whether or not that's something you really like. Do a little bit of research yourself and see 50 million people already using Weebly. Wow.
Okay. Wow.
There's a lot of people already using that. So you look at whether you like the design of it. You look at whether or not the cost is something you're willing to put up for. But you really don't want to sort of chop and change. Once you want to do a little bit of research and decide what do I like the look of? What do I like the functionality of? What's price is going to be comfortable for me? And then you go with that. You don't want to be chopping and changing because you're going to waste a lot of time otherwise. You don't want to spend a good deal of time setting up your own website on one platform and then decide, actually, I like this other one over here. This looks better. And yet that's going to take you hours and hours and hours of rework versus just spending a few hours now at the start just to find the platform that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, if you're not quite sure, Ian, my friend, is a lot more sort of across this space than I am, so he would be able to best advise you, perhaps.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, guys, before we finish up?
Can you give us Ian's contact details? Are we able to just sort of email him and say that, you know, you've been referred by you, just to get an idea of what he recommends the easiest website for a beginner to set up, or not?
I tell you what I might do. I might go one step better, and rather than perhaps him being bombarded with the same questions, maybe it's best for me to jump on a call with him, and we might record a little session where I just talk about this with him, and then I can just post that on our group, for example, and in the portal.
Or better still, why don't you ask him to come 1 week so any questions can be put to him? Yeah, okay. I'll canvass that conversation, Steph, with him, and if he's willing to do that, absolutely, yeah, that'd be a great idea. Yep. Yeah, just as an extension of what I've covered tonight, he could add his valuable knowledge to that conversation as well. Yeah.
Tom, can you ask him whether what he recommends, if it is Squarespace or Wix, either of the two?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Squarespace, Wix,
there
Weebly.
is Wix, Weebly, and then there's obviously Shopify as well. Shopify. They seem to be the sort of top 4, don't they?
Yeah. Shopify is like a no-brainer. Like, okay, if you really want to sell it, then Shopify is good, I think. Yeah, look, I can't sort of give my best opinion on that because I've only been with Shopify out of those sort of 4 major players. So I'm not sure how the others behave and how user-friendly they are, and the costs even, I'm not even across that. So he may well know better than me, but you know, I'd like to, you'd like to think that they all offer pretty much the same, but have subtle differences that. Yeah. And then there is WordPress, but I think for WordPress, you do need to have some sort of knowledge. You need to have some sort of knowledge of building websites. You don't need to know how to code, but it's not a template, really, not necessarily a template based scenario. And it's, whenever anyone said WordPress to me, it was more like, okay, you need somebody to help you with that, as in you need to pay somebody in order to get something going. And it can look brilliant, don't get me wrong. Yeah, but it's a lot of maintenance. And the thing, you're right, Swati, because at the end of the day, you've got to ask yourself, am I happy enough to do my own maintenance? As in, do I want the ability to upload my own photos, change things whenever I want, et cetera, and am I comfortable doing that? Or I have no idea how to do that, and I'm happy to pay somebody to do that for me. You can run into a lot of money doing that, because if you go with a big agency or you know, anybody else who is not recommended by me, you may well fall into the trap of paying somebody $100 just to change one thing on your website, which you don't want to have happen. I mean, no one's got the budget for that. So, I mean, if I had to pay a professional to do the work that I've done on my website, it would have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's no joke, joke. Because I've spent thousands of hours on my website, and you know, that's out of a love and a passion for it too. You know, like I enjoy doing it, and it's a sort of side project to other things that I do, you know, within the business. And Mary will tell you that most nights you'll find me sitting in front of the TV on the couch with my laptop in front of me and spending time working on it. So
scrolling through Facebook, isn't it?
No. Hence why I gave up Facebook, you know, more recently, because I just found that I didn't have the time for it to do that. It needed my time elsewhere. So
I guess another thing, Tom, is there or could you find out for me, and maybe just a checklist of this is what you need to set up your own web page? So things like whether it's an ABN, whether it's a separate different bank account for the business, you know, all those sort of things behind the scenes. Like I think that would be a good conversation to have with Ian, because he's used to setting these up for other people. Yeah.
And he's a very good communicator. He and I used to run workshops together, and he's an excellent teacher. So he would be very valuable to get into this conversation to answer those questions for you. Yep. So
Okay.
I will, after this finishes, I will contact him straight away and see if he's available to do that, and happy to do that for us. I'm sure that won't be a problem, but he's great. And we can pick his brains about lots of other things as well.
No, sounds good.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. I hope that was enjoyable, guys. I hope you've learned.
That was very
from
valuable.
that. If nothing else, I hope that's just perhaps even got you thinking about, maybe I will actually, start thinking about putting a few photographs up on a website and perhaps trying to sell something. If nothing else, just to have a collection of your own photographs up on the web to give yourself a good pat on the back for all the work you've done over these years of collecting all these beautiful photographs. You know what I mean? It is very gratifying. There is a little bit of self-indulgence when I jump on my website each time. And in fact, sometimes I go onto my website just to scroll through the photos and enjoy them, like I would, like you would with somebody else's website. So it is very gratifying to do that. So it's a good road to go down if that's something that you'd like to do. And so if nothing else, you don't have to do it in order to sell, but you could certainly put something up on the web that you get to share with others. But I mean, there's socials are good for that too, but having your own sort of portfolio online is very satisfying, that's for sure. All right, folks, I hope that was valuable. Thanks very much for staying on. And
thank you.
Yeah, lovely to see you guys again. Look forward to seeing you next week. I'll see if we can get Ian on next week, because that'd be a great follow on from this conversation.
Yes.
In the meantime,
yeah.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to see you. Thanks for all the great questions, everybody. There's some awesome questions in there as well. And look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tom.
See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks,
Bye,
yeah.
Tom.